today's English session. Today is our 1187th day of continuous webinar. We are conducting this webinar without any break, without any leave. So I am appreciating all the participants for joining with us and all those who are conducting and struggling behind this. Thank you everyone for this. Thank you for the journey of Ifph is continuing. So many are joining with us and now we are continuing our journey. Thank you so much. And today's our guest is Dr.C. MANOJ Narayanan, and he's MSc and PhD. He holds PhD in Natural Product Chemistry from Gandhigram Rural University, and he has created a number of programs and projects in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, New Delhi, and promoting sustainable lifestyle and eco-friendly practices. And he is the co-author of 20 research papers and 11 patents, and joint executive coordinator in National Games 2015 to execute Green Protocol, state resource person of Sujitwa Mission, and member of state level committee for plastic and waste management, founder of Pelican Biotech and Chemical Lab, and SWM consultant for Trikakara, Vadakanjeri and Maradu Municipality, and convener in My Clean, Malleshwaram, Bangalore, to implement waste management protocols. And many points I missed because you have done many things. So for all the participants, please go through that. And today's our subject is climate change and carbon footprint. Sir, I am welcoming you on behalf of Ifph. Please welcome, and you can talk now.
Thank you, madam. So first of all, I thank the Ifph family for giving this opportunity. I think this is my second time, and if anybody would have listened to me, it may sound a little repetitive because I keep talking the same language in different costumes. It's the same message all times, but then probably this time having a little bit focused topic to discuss, which is basically the carbon footprint, climate change, and its impact on health, which is basically your area. I'm encroaching a little onto that. So before I start getting into the impact of climate change, carbon footprint, etc., I think I need to create some clarity on what is carbon footprint. So many a times people have misconceptions, and though probably most of you will know, I would like to tell this story about our small planet Earth, where it started and why we are talking about the same carbon footprint. Why? Because I'm talking about the science which says that the same carbon dioxide which I am breathing day in and day out is actually the problem. So the question is like, all the animals are breathing out, all the plants are breathing out carbon dioxide. Then why this sudden one fine morning we are talking so much bad about carbon dioxide? Because it is a part of living. So there is this confusion. So I would like to tell this story about what happened to Earth, and then why this carbon footprint story. So as we all know, Earth was a burning globe when actually it got parted from the sun as a part of the Big Bang, and possibly after the sun was formed, and the sun exploded to create a small piece of this rock, which is Earth. And at that time, everything in the form of carbon. So mostly when it started cooling down, it was actually a huge glob of fire, plasma. So when the Earth started cooling down, most of the minerals, basically the metals, the entire metals and its oxides, everything became solid, which became the mantle, the crust of the Earth. Then the silica settled down. So most of these materials were basically oxides. The entire carbon, what you're seeing in the surface of the Earth or as a whole of the Earth, was in the air, was actually in the atmosphere. in the form of carbon dioxide. Tons and tons and tons of carbon in the atmosphere. It was like Earth's atmosphere would have been like a, after a huge nuclear holocaust. Sorry, I don't know what is happening. I'm sorry, just something happening to my Zoom. Yeah. So the Earth's atmosphere would have been like a aftermath of a huge nuclear holocaust where thousands of nuclear bombs would have blasted. The entire atmosphere was full of fumes of gases. So we cannot even see 1 millimeter. It was pitch dark at that time. So there was no possibility of a life at that time. Over billions of years, Earth cooled down, and the entire process, we got rain, and during rain, huge amount of carbon dioxide got dissolved in water, and the entire water bodies, including oceans, seas, etc., had huge quantities of carbon dioxide. And when it cooled down, so in the seas and the oceans, the first cells, I'm not discussing about creation, which we'll keep it aside for the politicians and the religions, but then at least we'll start with the point that the first cell came, and then it started growing in the sea or oceans. It became algae. So from the virus to the bacteria to the algae, and at that time there was very, very small possibility of seeing any life forms what we are seeing now. Next to impossible, because the entire atmosphere was filled with carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, all forms of gases. Then the algae, the phytoplanktons, started growing in the ocean, and over millions of years it absorbed all these gases. It created huge trillions of tons of biomass and cleaned up this earth. So the entire evolution started after that. The entire evolution started because the carbon dioxide got depleted. So it is just not on the body mass. So carbon dioxide also got trapped inside lime, calcium oxide of animal shells. So it got trapped inside minerals as carbonates, limestone, chalk powder. So there is no mineral without a carbon atom. So this is how the entire planet Earth was cleaned up, and it took millions of years. And we see this, we ended up in an atmosphere which had a carbon dioxide of around 200 ppm, 200 parts per million. So this is where the first point to note. This anomaly, this climate was stable for next millions of years. So the entire evolution happened through this. The human beings got evolved. We came to the surface of the earth through this climate. It's an anomaly. Please note that there is no other planet in the entire universe which is having such a stable climate for millions of years. Most of the planets are pounded by meteors or so much of surface action. Literally, they cannot have a standard evolution. So basically, I don't know who designed this, but then the Earth's surface was very conducive for the evolution and ultimately the human beings coming into existence. So we had all this good news till last 200-300 years when we found energy from fossil fuel. We found construction with concrete, till we found mining minerals and use of metals. So now what has happened in the last 300 years is the entire carbonate or carbon, which was actually pumped down into the subsurface of the earth. So I was talking about phytoplanktons, algae, which was thriving in the oceans. See, they died, they got buried, and they got treated, and the entire fossil fuel, including coal, petrochemicals, everything came into existence. All these carbonates got, as minerals, became our crust. And then in the last 300 years, we started mining this out. what has happened during mining? There are 2-3 impacts. One, we are using fossil fuel again for running all those machineries while mining. We are using now, actually, I am talking to you over this computer. The computer is made with metals. I am using energy which is actually fueled. Almost 40% of your fuel in Kerala is coming from the national grid. The energy is coming from burning coal. So I am also a party of this crime. All of us are party of this crime. So then the last 300 years, whatever carbon went down, we took it out. So it took millions of years for pumping this carbon into the earth's crust. It took millions of years for converting this carbon into carbonates and locking into the minerals. In last 300 years, we took most of them out. So now we are having a carbon. So where the man got evolved, the entire evolution happened in 200 ppm of carbon dioxide. Now we are facing double quantity of carbon dioxide at 400 ppm. So at this juncture, I would like to define 3 aspects of carbon footprint we always talk about. One is carbon neutral. Carbon neutral is something what's the plant do. So what the plants does, it absorbs carbon dioxide from the air, water from through the roots, and then convert the entire carbon dioxide into carbohydrate, which get converted into protein, fat, etc., and get sequestrated inside the body of the plant, which is consumed by the animals. The plants die, animals die, the entire body mass will become carbon dioxide eventually. And again, this cycle is called as carbon neutral. So there is no impact on anything. It is pretty neutral. Carbon positive is something when we are actually mining, anything which we are doing mining, and in that process creating carbon dioxide, or by mining and consuming that material we are using carbon dioxide, it is called as carbon positive. Carbon negative is when we do activities which can sequestrate carbon into bodies. Creating all living forms is basically carbon sequestration. Because every living body will be having 30 to 40% of carbon inside that by default. So this is what is carbon neutral, carbon positive, and carbon negative. So now is the time to look into our life. We get up in the morning. I discuss in every lecture of mine the same point. We get up in the morning. We are sleeping on a bed made up of iron or wood, which is carbon positive. We use a sink, a wash basin made up of ceramic, which is made with minerals, mined silica, casted with energy generated from fossil fuels. We use a brush made up of plastic, which is actually again something mined out of petrochemicals. We use paste, which contains calcium carbonate and hell lot of chemicals, again made from all carbon positive materials. Then we take bath using water pumped with carbon positive energy. Use soap, which is made carbon positive. So the entire human living is carbon positive. Right from getting up in the morning till sleeping, even this interaction is carbon positive. We are the only species in the surface of the earth which create this carbon footprint. No other animal leave a footprint. They all just live and die without creating any impact to the environment. And this is the awareness we should have. So what happens to this? Now I am talking about the carbon footprint, and I am putting the entire humanity as a culprit, responsible for the entire problems. Then next question is, what is the problem with carbon footprint? Okay, so there is a direct impact of carbon footprint on health. So let us use common sense. Imagine 200 ppm was the carbon dioxide content in the atmosphere when human evolved. Now it is 400 ppm. So directly we are talking about a 100% increase in carbon dioxide in the air what I am breathing. Direct 100% increase. We all know that hemoglobin has more affinity to carbon dioxide than oxygen. Basically, if you're talking about carbon dioxide oxygen exchange in our respiratory tract, given a choice, hemoglobin will hold on to the carbon dioxide than oxygen. The only reason why we are able to breathe oxygen is because of the vapor pressure. If it is 23% of oxygen, 23% is almost like 230,000 ppm versus 400 ppm of carbon dioxide. So, and entirely the oxygen respiration system happens because there is a huge vapor pressure of oxygen. It's called as a partial pressure. The presence, if you're taking 100 ml of air, there is 23% of oxygen and 400 ppm of carbon dioxide, due to which there is an exchange happening. But now, look at your lifestyle. I'm just asking this question. Can you recollect when is the last time you had a deep breath, like in the last 24 hours? Our lifestyle itself is actually, I'm talking to doctors, I know very well. Okay. So but this is a critical question which I keep asking myself every 1 hour with an alarm. So I have put an alarm in my laptop, in my mobile, which rings every 1 hour to remind me how many deep breaths you have taken. In this very, tough life where we are highly competitive, egoistic, when the entire, life rotates around the me, I don't remember to breathe. And most of our time, our brain is so occupied, we don't have time for a deep breath. Already we are into that lifestyle. Apart from that, we are talking about inhaling air, which is now double the quantity of carbon dioxide. That means my exchange rate of oxygen into my blood flow is considerably reduced. Because if you are talking about the carbon dioxide versus oxygen affinity to hemoglobin, carbon dioxide will be having almost 200 to 300 times more affinity to hemoglobin than oxygen. That means there is a huge chance of hypoxia due to two reasons. One, because of my lifestyle, which I don't breathe. Second, because of the increasing carbon dioxide. I believe that, and most of the health practitioners who are working in major research programs, they believe that hypoxia is the major reason for many of the diseases what we are seeing. And it is linked to, one, the lifestyle. Second, the carbon dioxide, increment in the carbon dioxide content in the air. We'll come back to that. Like, how can we rectify this problem? There is no meaning in finding problems and not giving solutions. So that is the first point to discuss, like how do we reduce hypoxia incidents in our day-to-day life? Second is, what happens when carbon dioxide cross over this 400 ppm mark? So now, as you would have heard about greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is something which probably we use the same effect when we are growing plants. So when the amount of carbon dioxide is more, or rather, let me start from this point. Nature is designed such a way that in the daytime, the sunlight falls in the surface of the earth, and the earth gets heated up, and during night, most of this heat gets radiated into the space. It's basically radiation as electromagnetic waves. But when the carbon dioxide content is getting more and more, majority of these radiations get reflected back, and the temperature of the earth keeps getting higher and higher. This is a greenhouse effect. This is very good in conditions like Europe, where they have an average temperature of 18-20 degrees centigrade, and they would like to have a carbon dioxide enriched place for growing plants. And that is where the greenhouse, the polyhouse developed. That is why it is called as a greenhouse effect, where they will close the entire planting area with a plastic sheet, allow the plants to generate carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide contains keeping going up, the temperature also keep going up. It's something like we get stuck in a closed room, we keep breathing like a car, and automatically the body temperature or the entire temperature goes up because the heat gets radiated back. The problem with this greenhouse effect or the carbon footprint is the entire earth is getting into greenhouse effect now. So the carbon dioxide content in the surface of the earth, especially in the stratosphere, it's going up, and due to which the huge amount of radiations are getting reflected back. What is the consequence? The first consequence happens in the ocean. There are two consequences in the ocean. One direct consequence is when the temperature goes up, automatically the ocean temperature goes high. What is now considered is the Arabian Sea, the temperature have gone up by almost 5 degrees centigrade, average temperature. So what happens when the temperature of oceans and seas goes up? As we all know, the amount of air dissolving in the water is inversely proportional to the temperature. Imagine if the average ambient temperature is around 32, 33 degrees centigrade, there is X quantity of air which get dissolved. When the temperature becomes 38, automatically most of the air will get purged out. Like it's basically vapor pressure again. So as the temperature goes up, the quantity of oxygen or air which is actually dissolving in the water will come down. Immediately it will impact the aqua animals in the sea and ocean. So they will have less and less of oxygen to breathe, and more animals and plants will die in the ocean. Now this is becoming a very serious problem because the more animals die in the ocean, all of them will decay, all of them will become carbon dioxide and methane. They will come to the air and they'll increase more carbon dioxide, which will kill more animals. It is like a spiraling circle which goes down and down and down. And that is what actually we are seeing at permanent perishing. We are going to perish at this rate because more and more animals and plants will die in the ocean, more carbon footprint generated, which will create more carbon dioxide, more temperature, more deaths. One is direct. Second is the ocean temperature is highly responsible for the climate. Climate in terms of, for example, climate expert says that there was no depression notified in Arabian Sea before 5 to 10 years. There was no depression. We had cyclones. Depression is when the hot air collides with cold air and it creates a different, I'm not expert in geography, so but that's what I hear. So most of these depressions happen in Bay of Bengal, on the other side, the eastern side of the Western Ghats. But it never used to happen in the Arabian Sea. But in the last 2 to 3 years, we are consistently getting depression in the Arabian Sea, due to which we are getting huge cloud bursts. So depression over Arabian Sea and Western Ghats is a deadly combination. Huge amount of clouds are formed over Arabian Sea and over west side of Western Ghats, wherever there is actually a wall which actually prevents the wind, where the clouds are actually transferred. This creates cloud bursts, which we actually faced in last 3 to 4 years. So what is the consequence? One is basically the nature's fury and death, which actually creates that. The consequence of extreme weather conditions is like excess humidity. Already Kerala is actually having, consider this, only 23% of air is oxygen, of which Kerala is facing 80% humidity. So we are having around 1.6 to 2% of oxygen going into our respiratory tract. That's what we are getting, especially in an area with higher humidity ratio. So unless the respiratory tract is very clear, imagine I'm having some mucus, further my oxygen exchange will come down. So extreme climate, extreme humidity, and consequently less amount of oxygen is creating more hypoxia. I don't have to tell you as doctors that most of your, that how you will be burdened with patients coming into during rainy seasons, and that is going to become higher and higher. On the other side, so we had heavily raining periods and then extreme dry climates. So extreme dry climates again creates dehydration. It also creates, so there is another consequence. What we are seeing is huge mutations happening in microorganisms, pathogenic microorganisms, due to this extreme climate conditions, and they becoming infectious, more and more infectious. So mutations means huge possibility of resistance, antibiotic resistance, which I should not discuss here. I'm also not a big fan of that. And huge possibilities of viruses which can evade the natural resistance of animals and plants. So this is another consequence. So now direct impact on oceans and its animals. We discussed about the indirect impact on the climate, extreme climates, weather, consequence on animals and plants. I'm just telling animals and plants because there is a general feeling that the entire life is revolving around human beings. So I'm just, in all my discussions, I put equal standards for all other animals and plants which have equal right to live in this planet. So this is the second step. The third step is the impact of carbon footprint in the direct impact on the animals in the terrain, in the land. So as we saw, there is a direct impact of climate change which creates natural fury, floods, drought-prone areas, impact on agriculture. So there is a huge sequence of events which is happening because of this extreme climates. So these are the problems which associated with. So I have discussed about what is carbon footprint, how carbon footprint is impacting on the climate, on the health of animals and human beings. So these are the problem statements and generally the cynical approach towards the whole problem. Now the solution. So now when we talk about this climate change, carbon footprint, we all think that once somebody sitting there is creating this problem. Not me. Everybody else other than me is creating this problem. So this is where the time has come for looking into our lifestyle. So I started with the discussion. What's your carbon footprint? How you are contributing to the carbon footprint? Today I saw a WhatsApp video. The video is about somebody sitting on a pile of clothes in Australia. I don't know whether you have seen that message. He's asking this question. What is the time taken? So he's sitting on a pile of clothes which is around 6,000 kgs, 6 tons of clothes. He's asking, he's telling this. This 6 tons of clothes has been wasted in Australia. Can somebody tell the time frame in which it has been generated? So there is a huge crowd which actually gathered around. They started talking. Hello, Dr. Danish. Hi. Yeah. So I don't know whether I started early. Probably you were there. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, fine. So there's a huge crowd which gathered around this pile of clothes, and this guy is asking over a microphone or a megaphone. Can somebody suggest what is the time frame by which these clothes have piled up? So some people told 2 years. So that guy told no, lower. Then they told 1 year. They further lowered it. It came to 6 months, 1 month, 1 week, 24 hours, 1 day, 1 hour. So he lowered it. The conclusion is the entire 6 tons of waste in Australia was generated in 10 minutes. Waste clothes. And this is just not an Australian story. This is happening across the globe. Why? For every New Year, for every birthday, for every Onam, for every Ramzan, for every marriage, we have to buy a new clothes. So now, what do you do with these things? A huge pile of clothes sitting in our almara. Again, you want to go to a mall, to a fabric shop and then buy again clothes. Now, why? Because the society is demanding this. So, in fact, we have become psychopaths, have been controlled by business people, and there is no exception. Everybody in this discussion room is a part of that. Doesn't matter whether it's a doctor or a patient, or actually a counselor, whoever it is. Everybody is part of this disaster, and the entire reason is because of the unprecedented consumerism which is actually killing us. So the major culprit is clothes now. So I work in waste management, and I am getting tons and tons of usable clothes. The t-shirt which I am wearing now is second hand. I got it from somebody. So I stopped buying clothes because I get a lot of good clothes, shoes, chappals, everything from this waste we are managing. The entire team, actually, we don't buy clothes at all. Most of the things we don't buy. We get good bags. So I have seen people just simply going and buying a bag just for the heck of it. Buying a footwear just for the heck of it. They don't need it. They are already having 5 to 6 pairs of footwear sitting in their home. Just because they went to a shopping, they bought one footwear. So now the entire, the humanity is becoming psychopaths without even knowing what they are doing. And we have defined success in life in terms of our material possession and trying like an idiot to live that life and creating all these problems. So the purpose of the discussion is to understand what's your footprint, how much of this contribution you are doing. Do we need to purchase all these items? So before we going somewhere to do shopping, just check internally. Do we really need to buy this? Is it okay to use a sari or a what do you call a chudidar or probably a sherwani? I don't know what is the male people use sherwani, right? So do I need to purchase for the next? Is anything wrong in using this for the next marriage? Is it very compulsory to buy a new cloth for every marriage, for a function? Is it required? So society has taught this. The business people have taught us. Don't we have common sense? Can't we think? So we need to understand that every business is influencing you. They have put standards of life which you are blindly following without any reasoning. And this is where probably doctors have an important role to play. And for that, first, we have to change. We have to change and to ensure that, we are living a lifestyle which is not creating an impact. There is no meaning in creating an impactful life, creating carbon footprint, creating climate change, getting patients and giving them medicines. There is no meaning in doing that. That is actually creating our own business. Rather, we should create a business stream. We are all in business. I am also into business. We should create a business when we actually charge for maintaining health. This is what actually I am discussing in some policy matters with Government of India and even Government of Kerala. The entire health management system is actually very spoiled because we cannot have doctors opening up the shop thinking that I should get a patient. Rather, we should have doctors who are opening the shop and telling that I am going to maintain the health of a patient. That is my responsibility. But I am in waste management. There are many waste management companies and organizations who are licking their lips when they see waste. That means more waste, more money. I have also been in that format for some time. Then I realized that, my business is actually creating more waste rather than reducing it. So we restructured the entire business model by which we tell our customers that you pay me X amount of rupee every month. I will help you not to generate waste. That's what we are doing now. So what we have done, we have eliminated disposable cutleries from many apartment complexes. So most of you will be using paper cups, paper plates. Most of our clients who are apartment complexes, they don't use this. That means we don't burn. We help them to use menstrual cups, not sanitary pads, because I have to burn it. It is going to create carbon footprint and gases. I'm encouraging them to start developing their own small groceries like molagapudi, like the tamarind, turmeric powder, chili powder. Please make yourself. Go to the shop, buy and powder and take it yourself rather than buying it from plastic covers. So this is a lifestyle I'm generating, helping them, and I'm charging them for that. I don't allow them to generate waste. So the entire discussion is hovering around the fact that despite educated, despite having the information, we all believe that the entire solution will come from somebody else. Nobody is going to come and solve this problem because we are them. If you're going to think that government is going to ban plastic, they will not. Because we are the government. One of you sitting in this audience or including me may become an MLA or MP. We don't know what is actually meant the future kept for us. And what are we going to do? We are going to ban. In that case, we would have banned liquor and cigarette a long time back. So nothing is going to get banned here. Let us not even have the discussion what government is doing, what society is doing. Nothing is going to happen because government will give what society demands. So the change has to happen from inside. So I was actually in a recent health, a few doctors were there in a discussion. So something similar came up. So I was telling this factor. The most important discussion has to come from, or most important communication has to come from doctors, because doctors are the custodian of health. And if doctors don't change, the entire society won't change. Why this? For example, we all know that for mostly diabetes, blood pressure, especially arthritis coming out of inflammation and cholesterol, the best thing is exercise. We all know that. But most doctors don't prescribe that because doctors themselves are not generally fit. They don't do exercise. So that is why they are not advising this. So doctors who are fit, who can do some exercise generating around 100 pulse rate, they definitely convince the patients that you don't have to take medicines. You can get rid of all these ailments purely by exercise and good food habits. This is not happening. So when this change has to happen, because the responsibility should get fixed on us. We should think that we are responsible. I'm responsible. I feel that I'm responsible for the entire society around me. I tell my parents, my brothers and sisters, my cousins, my nephews and nieces, please curtail your consumerism. Please watch your footprint. Just don't go for a drive because you want to do it, because you are just pushing out carbon dioxide. I just want to go for a drive, take a car and go for 100 kilometers. So what is the carbon footprint? Do you know that? I'm not actually a joy killer. I'm not telling you don't have fun. Have fun with a awareful living. How much of footprint, environmental footprint we are generating? So I don't know how much time do we have. Generally, I forgot how much. What is the time of this discussion?
Up to 9 o'clock, sir.
So 9 o'clock, including question answer session, right?
No. 8:45 onwards, we will discuss.
Fine. So I am having another 7 minutes. So
Yeah.
why? Because see, I can put many scenarios, but I think the discussions are more important because the discussions has to or this type of interactions has to point the finger onto me. The three fingers, when I am pointing finger onto you, the three fingers, the same story. So this inherent thought process has to come from a next level of mental maturity. So this is where probably another responsibility which the doctors have. Earlier, this was actually under the hand of religion, which is spirituality. I'm talking about spirituality. Earlier, the entire spiritual communication was done by religion. Unfortunately, religion has gone to dogs. I'm sorry for mentioning that. Religion has become another concoction of people who are trying to make politics out of it. All the religions, I'm not specifying one or two. So that means including mental health has become the responsibility of doctors. So most of the diseases are, as you all know, it's psychosomatic. Most of them. And these diseases are coming out of competition, unnecessary competition, not able to have a contented life. Always, so the society will keep teaching us, telling that, success is this, success is that. And it is absolutely on a good mental maturity only we can figure out that all these things are nonsense. And a contented life is the most important part of maturity or life, good, happy life. And who is going to tell this now? Tell me. There is nobody in the society who is going to talk like this language. Because either you have to be a god man or a god woman and preach, and they will be having a followers. Okay? Or you should be a sannyasi who is sitting in some caves, putting once in a while some discourse. That's not going to help. Common people like me and you have to very actively pursue the mental health and spiritual health of people. Hold them, tell that there is no meaning in this mad race in creating this material benefits. So I don't mean that I am living in a hut. I'm sure about it. Okay, I'm not driving a car. I'm doing that. I'm not telling that I'm not. But one thing is, I don't buy clothes anymore because I'm getting plenty of it. I'm not even buying footwear because I'm plenty of. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking that we should have a awareful, right? Every step we should be awareful. It is not that you should not have fun. Have fun. Have an assessment of the footprint of to the environment, to the society you are having. I'll always put this comparison. Can we kill somebody? Can we? Most of us cannot. Okay. But a few of us can actually hit somebody. Really, we can hit somebody and harm few people. And still more people can abuse. We can use tough language. So an awareful living is when you're the absolute. You understand that every action of us is going to kill somebody. A bottle thrown, something burned, an unnecessary purchase is going to kill somebody eventually. A bottom of pyramid person, not me and you. Mostly our family will not get affected because we have a place to go. Ultimately, who is getting affected? Bottom of pyramid people who don't have any name and address, who are actually living in the edges of the society. They are the people who are getting affected first. And then the poor animals. They absolutely don't have any clue what is going to happen to them. And they are the people, these are the animals and plants, they are suffering because of reckless action of ours. This is where the thought process has to start. And as health managers, we should be able to very actively pursue psychosomatic approach mental health which lead to a spiritual life which will watch my footprint. Am I killing somebody? Am I hitting somebody? Am I abusing somebody? These are various levels of interactions possible. Am I graduating from one step to another? So where are we in terms of this? We can assess. We can ask the people who are coming to us as patients to assess this. We can ask, communicate this to children. I think there is a huge responsibility on doctors to communicate this to children, because the next gen children are trapped in this success. So it started in the last generation. We blew it up, and the victims of this entire engagement is going to be the next generation children. So I would like to close this session. It's only just 2 minutes. I think we'll have more interactive session if possible. I would like to conclude this session. Climate change is a consequences. The entire climate change or carbon footprint is the consequence of the reckless consumerism of human beings. There is nothing else. There is only one way. It's not like, for whom I am doing it. The question is, will you kill somebody for something? Same question. Will you hit somebody for something? Will you abuse somebody for something? We will not. Most of us will not. So let us not do this. Even it's called as Adrishya Papa in Vedanta. It's Adrishya Papa. We don't know that we are going to face that consequence. There is a Drishya Papa, actually we'll get immediate. It's Newton's third law. And then there is an Adrishya Papa, which probably, one of us, maybe it's me or my family or my kids and kids who are going to suffer that. So let us believe in that and try to create a society which considers. So living environment eco-friendly is not a virtue anymore. It is actually a responsibility. It is not a virtue. Oh, somebody is living eco-friendly. Great. No. If you are not living eco-friendly, we are a barbarian. Actually, we are the scoundrel. We are the goons of the society. As bad as those gundas who are actually inside the jail, nothing different from them and us. And this is a spirit at which, I'm pretty aggressive in communicating this, because I'm trying to nail this pretty hard. So it's very difficult to penetrate because, we have been trained for the last 40-50 years in those lines. So I hope nobody will get offended with this communication. I hope this would have driven the point and take the society to the next stage. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. And I'm inviting all the participants for discussion. I don't know how many of Dr. Manoj you start, and that's that's a great idea. Otherwise, no one will start.
Yes, somebody should initiate. Otherwise, in a great disrespect to our honorable guest. So that's why I think the most important points you mentioned about this consumerism. So it's not, I think, not easy to draw a line between this consumerism and reckless consumerism. Then again, another thing is that how the drive against this consumerism is going to affect the economy. Then is often directly related to the poverty, then this infectious diseases. So many problems are there. We know about the spread of tuberculosis at that time, around 50, 60 years. Then the industrial revolution, the green revolution, a lot of activities are there. So it's not a silver bullet to have an idea on this control of this climate change and carbon footprint. I think more deliberations and intellectual discussions and practical discussions is needed in this way. When you mention about this doctor's role as custodian of health and health managers, a good idea. And what you mentioned is most important thing. First, we must observe it. We must practice it. Then we must advise. That is the most difficult task a physician can do. What is your opinion, doctor?
So let me start with the first statement which Anjali ji, Ajini, I'm sorry, yeah. So so let us say that somebody has to start, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. So who is going to start? Me and you. That's the point. So there are going to be a social leader always. And why is because this is so why other people are not coming up and talking is because of this is actually the mental maturity problem. There is an inhibition like what others will think. Who is bothered? Who cares? So why that brave, that guts is not there? Because of that mental, I am feeling inferior to somebody. What? Maybe I don't have the right language. Who cares? I may blabbering something. Who cares? So now if doctors don't have that mental maturity, who else can have? So this entire team is actually a huge, group of doctors.
And many of us don't have any idea about this. That is also the problem.
So because we have been always tuned to provide a material solution. Including allopathy doctors, including homeopathy doctors, including actually basically I was a pharma scientist. So unfortunately or fortunately, most of my research was based on psychosomatic diseases and the impact of psychosomatic in general behavior patterns, including children. So what I have understood is the entire this mismatch of health and the materialistic solutions what we are providing, 90% case you don't have to, because the problem is itself is a solution. Identify the problem, this competition, etc. It is actually so. Coming to that point which Dr. Manoj was telling, one is food to start. If a community of doctors cannot, have at least 15 to 20, how many participants in this?
Now 36.
36. So 60 to 70% of them should be pretty brave enough to come out and talk. Otherwise, there is no choice. That is the first point. So we have to come out. We have to come out and we should be. I don't care what people are going to think about me. I don't care now. I'll tell you recently something happened in my family. There was a function in my family. My father's
2 participants raised hand.
No, don't mistake me. I'm not trying to
No. And what I'm going to tell now, we have only 10 minutes, so we'll give chance to them.
Right. Quickly, I will conclude this. Okay. There was a function in the family, and I insisted that my father's 84th birthday, I called everybody and told them don't bring present, because the 60th birthday present is sitting inside the almara. So giving a present has become an activity. And when I called these people and told, so they are replying, Manoj, it's a very good idea. Somebody has to start. But for that, I had to get a lot of brickbats in my family. How dare you talk somebody that don't bring present? So how much we are actually prisoners of these conventions? This is what probably, who is going to break that? This is the point. So here Dr. Manoj mentioned about consumerism and economy. Let me tell you one thing. Economy I'm also a businessman. I am like a fish. I will slip through any problem. I will find new businesses. If you stop buying clothes from me, I'll know how to make money out of another business. So basically, the business is basically a factor of the social change. So imagine if you are getting into a consumer-less society, you know what is going to become more? We will have spiritual business. You can see the growth of spiritual business. Let them have. Fine. Let us have more godmen and godwomen. Let them have no harm to the environment. They will go and do some skarseva or sevas. Good for society, right? So what I'm trying to say is, don't think that business is going to stop. Business is what actually has driving this world from when we became a society where barbarians, right? Till now, business is driving this entire world. What as social leaders we should do is direct it correctly. That's all. That's what I believe now. Yeah. So we'll go to the next question if possible.
Dr. Sridhar, okay, Dr. Danish.
Yes, Manish.
Yes,
No, no, sir, you can start. I thought
Okay.
I'm hearing it. Danish doctor.
Some people are doing that, not everyone. But that I am last 10 years, I have not purchased dresses at all. That the some people possibly like that they are giving that some dhotis and etc. That is a custom. That only I am using, not the new dresses. I am having 10 years back dresses I am using. By seeing that these things you can understand.
Brilliant.
Anyway, you are getting the dresses, right?
Eh?
That is the reason that you are not buying. You are getting the dresses.
I am getting, but that I don't want to
If somebody else
I'm
is
happy
giving
to them.
dresses, I don't buy.
Whether you like to, somebody is giving that, whether
Yeah.
you
If somebody is giving and purchasing, that is same. You have dresses. That is the reason that you are not
I
buying.
am having, really speaking, I am having. Then the second thing I like to ask, what initiation you took only by talking, what action you took, that I like to know.
Excellent. So one thing which probably the last 10 years which I have done is, one is putting everything into my life. I don't buy a pet bottle. I haven't purchased a single parcel food because it is coming in plastic wraps. I buy groceries from grocery shops which give without any packages. I buy milk without any plastic packets. I carry a water bottle wherever I go. I have my own teacups wherever I go. Even in a train, I buy in that. So this is one thing which I implemented in my life for the last 10, 15 years. Second, I am helping many communities to do that. You know, as discussed in the profile of mine. So I conducted this national games in Kerala. I was the Green Protocol Joint Executive Coordinator, which actually changed the entire profile of Kerala's administration in terms of waste management. We conducted national games, gave food for 1 lakh people every day without any disposables, no paper cup, paper plate, PET water bottles, aluminium foil, thermocol, nothing. So that actually resulted in creating a green protocol rule in 2016, which is actually now diluted because of this COVID, where smarter people came and told that, you know, COVID viruses actually can spread through reusable cutleries, and they convinced the health secretary, and then, you know, he put a ban to the reusable cutleries rule, and now paper cups and paper plates are being sold everywhere. So
very good, sir. I understood that. Thank you very much that you are doing something, and not only you. There was one Venugopal Reddy. Recently, there was a talk regarding that this plastic and its uses one section. He was showing that how he used that reusing to the these bottles, and how he is carrying always he is carrying a box, and he is taking that balance food from that packet, that box. Like that, there are some few people I saw that they are adopting these things. And another thing that what I feel is that in our fan, every week we must have to clean. I am staying in Bombay. That there, the fan is always to 1 week, otherwise it will become white. It is white. It will become black because of that. The pollution is so much because each people are using not that public transportation we must have to use. For one person, one car is running, that it is a wrong idea.
Absolutely. You said that.
That is making so much pollution. It is so much pollution. Like that, so many things I can say because of lack of time, only 6 minutes. Now, Danesh is there, that our discussion is there, that in there, that bill regarding that the medical bill is passing, that there also there what I feel is that what you said is that if we may not win, that we must have to go for some other job, not for the homeopathic practice. That medical bill. What about your opinion about that? Only 1 or 2 minutes. Only no need of Dr. Ganesh is waiting. You can 1 or 2 minutes. You can answer it if he can.
Yes,
I
sir.
think
We can
I will
directly.
talk in the next occasion about that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. What I want to say is that really a thrilling presentation was really one from you, sir. This is what we are looking at this international forum for promoting homeopathy. There are things which are beyond the reach of doctors, which somebody like you people can come out and say that these are the things you have to do, you have to deliver. As the social manager, a doctor has a duty as a social manager, as you rightly pointed out. We are also doing all these things. Whenever a patient comes to our clinic, usually we used to observe the patient, how the person comes into the clinic and how he does his day-to-day life and how he purchases things, how he disposes the things, and how he drinks, and what kind of food he eat, and what time of at what time he eat. Nowadays, there is a tendency in the people that they used to eat very late in the night, and they took heavy. They used to buy so-called dishes from a different part of hotels, and they most of the food were packed in this kind of papers, as you rightly point out, and we have lot of waste products out of that, and even the food that they consumes are also supposed to be the waste. They are not giving as the support what actually people does not know what is a food and what is the right food, and what time one has to take the food. But the as you know, nowadays the international calamities are going on there, and too the wars are going on, and because of that wars there are a lot of carbon produced inside in not only in the Palestine Israel war, but at the same Ukraine Russian war. But all these are carbon dioxide. All these are coming to the world, and how the sun and how the atmosphere can tolerate this much of carbon dioxide in the inner, and how the people will how the people will move forward in their life if this condition go like this. That means that all these things are man-made, and it is our duty to point out to each and everyone that it is not the caste or religion that control the people. It is for that, not only for that, they are working for getting benefit out of the politics, and they are also looking at their security rather than the people's security. And as a result, this lot of unwanted air is coming into the world, and because of that, the communities are suffering. When, as you rightly point out, we as a person has to deliver by ourselves. For example, I have two daughters, and both of them were married, but I in the wedding card itself, I have printed that no presentation is allowed, and I like that. So this is what everyone has to do. Then only, of course, you can donate to somebody who really in need of the presentation. That means this is what we have to deliver as a doctor. Also, not only you should be a sample or example for the people who are watching you from outside. Otherwise, as you rightly pointed, you have to be the role model for everyone. This is what I would like to add to your.
Dr. Ganesh, now.
Doctor, we can continue for 5 more minutes, because one of the most important aspect is being discussed here. Not only that, the Sridhar doctor has raised a question on medical bill that also need to be discussed in this session, because Dr. Manoj is a person who can also show the importance of the medical bill, because nowadays the so-called medical bill has been proposed, and government has signed on it, and we all know that this is a bill for the medical community from the other side, who are the total working like a business people, And the purpose of these medical bill is to impose the, imprison the people. And not only in the name of protecting the people, they are imprisoning the people, and they are forcing people to take vaccines and everything. And this is not the way to implement a medical bill. Medical bill are supposed to protect the health of every person, not only for a single person or a single community or a single health sector. But as we here in India, we have ICE system. All this ICE system, people are working very, very high way to protect the community health rather than the many benefits they get out of it. What's your opinion on that, Dr. Manoj?
So, okay, I think we have shifted from carbon footprint into the medical bill. Okay, I'll just put my opinion on that. Rather than criticizing the medical bill, I will point a finger onto myself and all of us. See what they did, or the allopathy or the modern medicine did to get, see what they did, which we didn't do. How they got the upper hands and we couldn't get the upper hand. We actually has a more sustainable medical system, more robust, everything, we have a lot of plus. But then a few things which actually we missed. What did we miss? One major missing is again showing off. Like, see, for example, if actually I'm in a crowd of...
Excuse me, sir, I have a suggestion. Can you continue for 10 to 15 minutes more in the Malayalam session to join us with the for the discussion? So we'll that will be helpful, because now it is the time for the Malayalam session and we are going to discuss about same thing. So let us start the session and you have to continue for 15 minutes with us if you have time. That will be more nice.
Definitely, I can.
We can start the session. So thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, because now it is the time for the Malayalam session. I am inviting the moderator of Malayalam session, Dr. P. Shaila, to moderate Malayalam session. Dr. Shaila, please welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for your beautiful session. Next time we will have a discussion from the beginning. That will be more nice. You have to start with the discussion. That will be good. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And good night, everyone. See you the same time tomorrow. And we are moving to the Malayalam session. Dr. Shaila, please.